Okay.
In progress. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, good to see everyone. So where are we?
We're 140, chapter
140.
8, 140 through 150.
140. This
Yeah.
is still the chapter on meditative concentration, yeah?
Yes.
Yes, so this is the longest chapter in Shantideva's magnum opus, The Way of the Bodhisattva. Literally, the title of this text is How to Engage in the Bodhisattva's Way, the Bodhisattva's conduct. So overall, this text is organized into the kind of attitude or sensibility that one needs to cultivate, known as the Bodhisattva vow or the Bodhisattva spirit, then followed by the specific trainings in order to actualize, to bring about that spirit, that attitude. So I think first of all, it's useful to point out, while there are different writings out there that many of us may have read, may have come across, or may have even internalized without being explicitly kind of aware or clear about, is that there are several different models of what it means to be bodhisattva. What is the bodhisattva spirit? What is the bodhisattva vow? A very common one that you'll come across, you'll see, is this idea that what or who a bodhisattva is someone who, quote unquote, postpones their enlightenment in order to stick around to help others. Yeah? Someone who postpones their enlightenment in order to stick around to help others. So in following that notion of bodhisattva, also then the following from that, the idea that therefore to be a bodhisattva is to be busy and involved in affairs of this world. So first of all, that idea of postponement of enlightenment and sticking around to be helpful isn't how Shantideva thinks about what the Bodhisattva path is. There are places in the Buddhist text where the notion of postponing enlightenment is there. But in the tradition that Shantideva represents, in the tradition and the understanding that Shantideva comes from, there is no value seen in postponing enlightenment. To say that you will postpone enlightenment for the sake of others is suggesting that if you don't postpone and you become enlightened, then you become useless. And so if being enlightened is useless, then what happened? Buddha Shakyamuni made a mistake.
Yeah.
Siddhartha made a mistake, Should not have become a Buddha because, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Of course, how some traditions have come to that kind of emphasis is complex, the development of such ideas. And I don't, think we need to go into it, except to say when you read Shantideva, you need to put aside that idea of postponing enlightenment. And there may be some value in talking like that. There are certainly reasons why certain Buddhist traditions have kind of come to interpret Bodhisattva vow that way, and the Bodhisattva spirit that way. And therefore also this idea of remaining busy and engaged in the world in order to be a Bodhisattva. But at least for the purposes of reading and appreciating Shantideva's teachings, you need to at least, not necessarily even accept, but you need to understand what comes to mind when Shantideva talks about Bodhisattva and the way of Bodhisattva. So in this understanding, the path to awakening as a Buddha is called the Bodhisattva path. And the purpose of training on this Bodhisattva path is to become a complete and full Buddha. And when you are completely and fully awakened, you then have full and complete ability and power and effectiveness in truly guiding others, in helping others to also arrive at the state of Buddha. It is not saying that before that great achievement, you can't be of any good to people around you. It's certainly not saying that. But it is saying that the most effective, the most powerful way of benefiting others, helping others, and the most effective way of helping others is to help them stop creating the causes of suffering, help them achieve the causes of happiness. The most effective way of doing that is to lead them to a state of being a Buddha, being awake. So that's where Shantideva's understanding of the Bodhisattva way is. So anyway, particularly then, there is what's called the practice of the 6 paramitas, or the 6 going beyond, often translated as the 6 perfections. Maybe that word perfection is a little tricky for us. We have all kinds of ideas of perfection, and perhaps even all kinds of trauma surrounding notion of becoming perfect, how you are not perfect, you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, that sort of stuff. So maybe paramita may be best left as paramita. But the explanation for paramita is, yes, there's a sense of like things are perfect, as in complete. Complete maybe is a better word, complete. But if we translate not just the word, but translate more so the meaning of paramita, there's one etymology that is given in the text that explains paramita to be going beyond. So like the paramita of generosity. What is the paramita of generosity? What is the paramita of giving? It's the going beyond of our limited and our stingy, our needy, our impoverished state of mind, state of heart. So the going beyond of generosity, the going beyond, which is giving, goes beyond the small heart, the small mind, the limited, the impoverished state. Likewise, the second paramita, the paramita of disciplined conduct. What does it, by relying on disciplined conduct, what does it take us beyond? It takes us beyond creating the causes of harm and harming ourselves and harming others. So disciplined conduct is understood as that which protects us from creating the causes of harm for ourselves and for others. And then the perfection of patience is the chapter here. So the first two paramitas, they don't have their own chapters here. They are discussed in an indirect way. Yeah? The first two paramitas are discussed indirectly, but covered under chapters 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5 covers the first two paramitas. And then chapter 6 begins the chapter on patience. Then chapter 7 begins, so chapter 6 is the paramita of patience. Chapter 7 is the paramita of diligence or joyful effort. And chapter 8 is the chapter on the paramita of meditative concentration. And then finally, there's the paramita of wisdom, which is chapter 9. In the chapter on the meditative concentration, which is the paramita of meditative concentration, what are we going beyond? What are we going beyond? Ultimately, there is teaching us to train our minds and to train our hearts so that we go beyond self-grasping. And because self-grasping is very much kept in business by our strong and habitual identification with this body. Our concept, our investment in the notion of I, an unchanging I, an I that is all important, is very much grounded in our fixation on this body. A slight, even paper cut can send us off in a completely direction than you thought what today was going to be. So much of it is anchored here. We don't like to look at ourselves in the mirror. It's related to how much we fixate on this. We don't like to see ourselves in photos, and so on and so forth. All sorts of things tied to this, identifying very strongly with this. Whether liking it or disliking it, both comes from being too focused, too fixated on this being the fundamental of grasping. So actually in this teaching, much of this chapter is spent on pointing out the superficialness of and the unreliability of grasping at this physical form. We should not misunderstand, like Shantideva's almost like diatribe against this, to be the same as some sort of, belief or idea that the flesh of the body is evil. And the spirit is trapped in this. And so we need to denigrate this to free the spirit. No, that's not what's going on. Shantideva's kind of, and sometimes, rather strong words used to talk about this in this chapter isn't based on the idea that, this is corrupting, this is bad. But it's talking about how we fixate on this. Because elsewhere, when he was talking about body and form and appearance, he spoke very highly of it. And there he was talking about the bodies, the forms of the awakened ones. Actually, in chapter chapter 2, under the confession, what's called confessions and undertaking hold of bodhicitta, you find these passages praising the form of Buddhas to be so beautiful, so handsome, so desirable. You know? So it's not an attack on the body. It's an attack, if you want to call it that, on how we have misconfigured our relationship with this. So that when we finally and truly see what this is, then this becomes praiseworthy, almost like, almost, not almost, but this becomes praiseworthy, like the bodies of Buddhas. That when people see, they, instead of getting like heavy or possessive, people see bodies of Buddhas, they feel light, they feel expansiveness, they are at ease. Why? Because Buddhas are those who have the right relationship with this. Though in Tibetan Buddhism, there is one body of the Buddha's teachings that we call secret mantra or Vajrayana. So then within Vajrayana, there are more details on how to relate to this body so that this doesn't become a cause, a landing place for suffering, but this becomes a place of benefiting others, a source of benefiting others. But here in this chapter, on the one hand, he is navigating us away from this habitual fixation on this body. And on the other hand, he is directing us to the power of bodhicitta. So the main, you could say, meditative concentration here is to abide the mind, abide the heart in bodhicitta, in the awakened mind, in the awakened heart. And this awakened heart or awakened mind has two aspects to it. The appearance aspect, which is informed, empowered by boundless love and compassion, and the essence aspect of this mind, this heart, which is based on, grounded in the realization of the empty nature of all experiences, the magical nature of all experiences, the illusory-like nature of all experiences, the dream-like quality of all experiences. So the shorthand for that is we call that emptiness. But emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. Emptiness means empty of unchanging essences. And then again, it ties back to the notion of no basis to fixate, no basis to be engrossed in, no basis to grasp at. So to see everything as like a magical display of illusion. That's the essence aspect of this awakened heart, this awakened mind that we call bodhicitta. So here, 140, he says, or 139, he says, thus sentient beings will be my chief concern, and everything I see my body has will all be seized and offered for the use and service of all other beings. So coming from the, don't fixate on this, don't have the wrong kind of relationship to this. Now he's teaching us, and for this, how can we relate to this in the most helpful way? Helpful not just for others, but also for yourself, ultimately. He says, Thus, sentient beings will be my chief concern. So my mind, my heart will be focused on their welfare. And then everything I see my body, everything I see my body has will be taken and offered for the use and service of all other beings. Take others, whether they are, whether we think of these others as less fortunate than we are, less um, intelligent, less wealthy, less whatever. Yeah? Take others, those who are lower, and then those who are higher. It's easy to have compassion for those that we, whether actively or passively, think are less well off than us. Right? It's easy to have compassion for people like that. But do we have the capacity to be compassionate to people who are doing way better than us? Or the world says doing way better than us. Do we have compassion for them? Of course, compassion quite naturally we have towards what we perceive as victims. But what about those who are that we perceive as perpetrators of harm? Do we have compassion for them? Buddha says, yes, we need to. So even those higher, those who have the upper hand in any situation, our compassion and love to them needs to be there as well. And those who are equal as yourself. So take others, whether lower, higher, or equal as yourself. Identify yourself as other. Now he's saying, this is actually an exercise. This is an exercise in putting yourself in the other person's shoes, as we would say it. So he says, take others, whether they're better than you, or you think they're equal to you, or you think they are lesser than you. Take them as yourself, and take yourself as an other. And then immerse yourself in envy, pride, and rivalry. Huh? So this is some kind of mental, emotional gymnastics that he is suggesting that you do. And from there, right, when you immerse yourself in envy, pride, and rivalry towards you, so you are now, the other, whoever the other is. You may have a high school rival, you may have a business rival, and now you put yourself in their shoes. Then you're looking at yourself and say, he's the center of attention. I am nothing. And unlike him, I'm poor without possessions. Everyone looks up to her, despising me. All goes well for him. For me, there's only bitterness. All I have is sweat and drudgery. While she's there, sitting at her ease, she's great, respected in the world, while I'm the underdog, a well-known nobody. What? A nobody without distinction? Not true. I have some good qualities. Compared with some, actually, he's lower down. Whoever that right. Now you're talking about yourself, First you create jealousy towards yourself. Then you say, actually, he's not at the top of the pile. There are many others way ahead of him.
Yeah.
And then compared to some, I excel. My discipline, my understanding have declined, but I am helpless, ruled by my defilements. As much as he is able, he should cure me. I will be submissive even to his punishments. The fact is he does nothing of the sort. But what right then does he But by what right then does he belittle me? What use then are his qualities to me, those qualities of which he so possessed? All this while, this he is you, you know?
Yeah.
Indifferent to the plight of living beings who tread the brink of evil destinies, he makes an outward show of virtues and even wants to vie with sages, that I might excel outstripping him regarded as my peer and equal. In contest, I will certainly secure my fame and fortune, public renown. By every means, I'll advertise my gifts to all the world, ensuring that his qualities remain unknown, ignored by everyone. My faults I will conceal, dissimulate, for I, not he, will be the object of devotion. I, not he, will gain possessions and renown. I will be the center of attention. I will take such satisfaction in his evil deeds and degradation, meaning when his, hidden faults are exposed, I take delight. I, not he, will gain possessions and renown. I will be the center of attention. I will take such satisfaction in his evil deeds and degradation. I will render him despicable, the butt and laughing stock of everyone. People say this pitiful non-entity is trying to compete with me, but how can he be on a par with me in learning, beauty, wealth, or pedigree? Just to hear them talk about my excellence, my reputation on the lips of all, the thrill of it sends shivers down my spine, a pleasure that I bask and revel in. Even if he does have something, I'm the one he's working for. He can keep enough just to survive, but with my strength, I'll steal the rest away. I will wear his happiness away. I will always hurt and injure him. He is the one who, in samsara, did me mischiefs by the hundred. Countless ages all my mind you spend desiring to attain your aims, and what great weariness it was, while your reward was only misery. So the experiment, the shift in perspective, the wearing of the other person's shoe, goes to 154. Then suddenly, you can almost imagine like you have woken up from this temporary dream where you have switched, positions with the other, and you have experienced, what's going on in the other's world live, and you can also experience how unjust it feels to have someone targeting you like this, jealous of you like this. So all of that, kind of like the exercise goes until 154, and then 155 is like the waking up moment. And suddenly you could see, oh my gosh, look at that. What just happened? So then it says, countless ages, oh my mind, you spent desiring to attain your aims. And what great weariness it was, while your reward was only misery. All the back and forth we engage in with others, not being able to stand how well others are doing, jealous of others, always comparing ourselves with others. This exercise is to kind of put us at the same time in both positions and to see and to recognize the ridiculousness, the absurdity of all of this. Yeah, so 155, you come back to kind of the sobering moment. So between 140, 140 to 154, is the thought experiment, is the emotional experiment. Put yourself, and then you start where you can divide, you can think of someone that you really admire and almost to the point of jealous of. Get into their shoes and entertain the possibility that they may look at you with the same kind of jealousy. And then, yeah, experiencing the ridiculousness because you're like, here I am admiring slash jealous of the other person. And there they are looking over here doing the same thing. And who benefits? Nobody. Those who are equal to us, those who are worse than us, all of us, yeah. In that sense, as Christians will say, all of us are sinners. Who doesn't deserve forgiveness, so to say? All of us deserve. But unlike in the Christian tradition, we don't think there's only one person who is capable of pure and complete forgiveness. We think that all of us have that potential. All of us have that nature. And especially when we see the absurdity of how we think of others, how we are jealous of others, how we are resentful of others, how we get into the rights and the wrongs, Obviously, on a practical level, I'm not saying you ignore the commonsensical rights and wrongs, right? If you have a neighbor who keeps encroaching on your property, better to address that sensibly, address that, amicably before all kinds of difficulties arise. Likewise in the workplace, likewise no matter how we relate with others. Or whatever relations we have with others. And yes, there is a level of sensible, like I say, good fences make good neighbors. But often, where we suffer goes beyond these sensible fences. Often they have no purpose whatsoever except that we are confused. We are caught up in that moment, and then due to the habits of the unskillful habits that we have developed, we immediately kind of go in that direction. Then we go around carrying envy, jealousy, enmity, resentment. And every time, when something sensitive or negative happens, as they say, when we get triggered, then all of that baggage that we've been carrying, we bring them all to the forefront. And at that moment, we are so convinced, that this is exactly why, I feel this way against you, about you, because you have always not treated me right. You have always, but that's all exaggeration. That is just trash that you have kept like treasure. Trash that you have locked up like treasure. And when the conditions conspire, so to say, when the conditions are right, or in this case, you could say not right, all that trash, and things that go back 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, people who have built a life with each other, whether as partners or in-laws or, parents-in-law, children-in-laws, whatever, all these things come rushing back. Even remembering the detail of, on my wedding day, you la 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 la. And provide a narrative to how my resentment makes perfect sense. When in fact, none of it makes any sense. Make sense?
It's so sad, jeez.
You cannot have, you cannot let your heart be the place where accounting and ledger takes place. Then the books will never be balanced. The place of the heart is a different place than ledgers and accounting, keeping score. No.
Boy, it
That was
seems
very
the,
helpful for me.
Sorry?
That was very helpful to me.
Oh, good.
I didn't really follow along with what you clarified with the mind experiment. That was a good
Yeah.
way to put that for me.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So I
It's a
appreciate
little
that.
confusing, this part. Yes.
Jerry?
I did have a quick question if you're entertaining questions yet. If not, then I'll hold it till later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think there was another comment regarding what was this one?
Jerry, let's see.
Yeah.
I just had this thought of how the ego just can't resist judgments, self-judgments, other judgments, greater than, less than. It's just
Yeah.
quite a
Yeah.
feat.
Yeah. No need to use the word ego. You'll just trigger it. It'll just make you an enemy. Huh?
Yeah. But I was also thinking, if every time we caught ourselves judging another person,
Uh-huh.
we looked at them like ours was a projection and it just bounces back on us.
Yeah. Yes. It's often things we don't like to see about ourselves that we're more sensitive when we see it out in the world. So don't engage in any of this. Don't like hear any of this with the reference points of like right and wrong. Really see it as we are all just stumbling around. So I actually, I don't know if people pay that close attention. Maybe not a good idea to pay that close attention to what I say or don't say. But I rarely also even use the word ego. I think that triggers that part of our psyche that don't want to grow. When it hears that word, it's like, yeah, you're yelling at me again. Our poor little friend, maybe we call it that. The hug. Because we're really, we're not bad people. We are Buddhists that are now confused. Awakened ones that have fallen asleep temporarily.
Yeah.
So it's the fallen asleep self that is groping in the dark and feeling terrified, feeling belittled, feeling ignored, all of that. So poor little guy.
I think it's interesting that these things are all talked about in the meditative concentration chapter,
Yes.
because it seems like the antidote or whatever, the way out is just to see. I mean, there's not any like, this is not in the chapter about good behavior
Mhm.
or patience or whatever. This is about comprehending,
Yes.
seeing.
Yes. And then
Yeah.
steadying the heart in what has been seen. So that's the meditative concentration part. Yeah, see and then steady your heart there.
Staying with it.
Yes,
Because what, when you stay with it, it will change automatically?
yes. The ability to steady your heart, to steady your mind in what has been seen here, what has been understood here. That's what meditative concentration is. It's not all these, super, we get attracted, we read about, oh, this person meditated for 7 days, never heard a single sound.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
wait, what is that for again?
I kind of like what struck me was that it seems like, I wouldn't call it an antidote, but that last line of like weariness,
Mm,
that you start becoming aware of like the weariness of that energy, that kind of that churning
yes,
of this or that and whatever, and rather than some kind of like flash of like understanding and I'm done with that kind of thing, it's more like, God, this makes me tired.
yes.
Yeah.
Isn't this tiresome,
It just makes it easier to drop out of it. But the weariness I can relate to. Yeah.
Huh? Like, aren't you wearied aren't you tired with all the misery that you churn out? Huh?
Yeah.
In the confused way of trying to solve the problem of feeling miserable, we have just created more misery.
Yeah.
So that then we'll just like, okay, stop already, So
I just keep coming back to the incredibly optimistic viewpoint of the Buddha that we can learn,
yes,
right? It's just the most positive, optimistic thing there is, that like,
yes,
yep, it sucks, but you can do something different. You're
you can
capable.
wake up,
You
Wake-
can do it.
waking up is possible.
It's possible, yeah.
That's the first step in taking refuge. Waking up is possible. 156, it says, once you see how tiring it is, it's not that we don't have the energy per se, but this energy is so wasted, because it just creates this weariness. So instead, 156, and therefore now most certainly apply yourself completely to the good of others. The Buddha did not lie in what he said. You'll see the benefits that come from it. Now, this is not, again, not talking about, okay, now run out there and go do good. Then that's just another form of, or can be easily turned into another form of seeking glory, seeking, theme songs, seeking an audience to applaud, and not understanding. Applies yourself completely to the good of others. That can begin by, let my pursuit of Dharma be because I love the people around me. I care for the people around me, so that when I become more reliable, or at least more, tolerable, it's such a gift to the people around me. If indeed you had in former times embraced this work and undertaken it, you could not still be lacking in the perfect bliss of Buddhahood. So the perfect bliss of Buddhahood need not be that far away, because if you are encountering these teachings now, likely this is not the first time you have already committed to this. It says, likely you have done this before in the past and maybe many times, but just this lifetime, it took you this long to have to see this and to be reminded of this and to be inspired by it. Therefore, just as you identify a drop of others' blood, ovum and sperm, the egg and the sperm from your father and mother, and cling to it as though it were yourself. Right? Everything here. None of it is really yours. Yeah, it came from some other person's little tiny sperm with the ovum formed, and you say, "Ooh, that's me." So, just as you identify a drop of others' blood and sperm and cling to it as though it were yourself, now take sentient beings others as yourself. The same logic for those of you who are doing deity yoga practice is also applied in deity yoga, where it says, if you can take someone else's sperm and blood and then develop this whole, right, identity, everything, your place in the world, la la la. Why would it be that hard? It says to take this mental image of Buddha Shakyamuni, of Manjushri, and develop a sense of self out of that. Now, for others, you should spy on everything your body seems to have, steal it and take it all away and use it for the benefit of others. I indeed am happy, others sad. I am high and mighty, others low. I am helped while others are abandoned. Why am I not jealous of myself? Happiness, fulfillment, these I give away. The pain of others, this I will embrace. Inquiring of myself repeatedly, I will thus investigate my faults. And so all of these, right? 160, 161. When others are at fault, I'll take and turn the blame upon myself, and all my misdeeds, my sins, however slight, declare and make them known to many. The fame of others I will magnify, that it might thus outshine my own. Among them I will be as one who serves my lowly labor for their benefit. So 60 to 63, yeah? Be careful there a little bit, okay? Because while Shantideva's audience did not have a culture that is based a lot on the model of the suffering Messiah, most of you, whether you are actively Christian or not, is beside the point. Right? Your cultural context has this very powerful image of a suffering Messiah. So this is not the same, okay? Taking the blame upon yourself, Bring out the good qualities of others, expose your own faults, So this is not a, Baptist or Catholic or Jewish guilt business. You're a bad person. This is really saying, you are diamond. And for diamond to be enjoyed and appreciated as diamond by others, what do you need to do? Cut and polish that which is not diamond. So all these faults that you expose, it's the process of cutting and polishing the diamond that you are. You see, in many of these Buddhist texts, they don't use the language of on and on about how precious you are as diamond, because that's already assumed. You know, that's already assumed. That's already like the baseline. So therefore, many of these texts are not afraid to talk about how seemingly, right? Not afraid to talk about how faulty you are. Because all these faults are understood as not real. But for the purpose of letting the diamond be seen as diamond, appreciated as diamond, cherished as diamond, you need to cut. You need to not just cut, but really, right? A skilled diamond cutter. Because only a skilled diamond cutter can show the world the brilliance of this diamond, which is what we call our Buddha nature. Yeah.
It's a great metaphor.
Yeah, our diamond, our Vajra nature. In Vajrayana, we say our Vajra nature. Vajra is also another word also used as diamond. Our immutable Vajra nature. But this diamond needs to be polished for it to be recognized, for it to be useful, for it to be admired, to bring delight to others. So now, here the ego, yes. I'm actually curious what the original Sanskrit is in Tibetan. Anyway, I think this self-cherishing part of the heart is by nature rife with faults. Its accidental gifts I should not praise. Whatever qualities it has, I'll so contrive that they'll remain unknown to everyone. Meaning the conniving parts of this self-cherishing. All the harm, in short, that this self-cherishing attitude, this ego does to its advantage and to others' cost, may all of it descend upon itself to its own hurt and to others' benefit. Do not let it strut about the place, so arrogant, so overbearing, but like a newly wedded bride, let it be demure and blushing, timid and shy. Do this, be like that. Such things don't ever do. It is thus that you will bring it forcibly to heal. And so this is the tough love part. Have some tough love for yourself. And if it oversteps the mark, well, then apply the lash. No chocolate this week. And so, O mind, if still you will refuse, though you have been so lengthily advised, since every evil has its roots in you, you are indeed now ripe for punishment. The time when you could do me harm is in the past. and now is here no more. Now I see you. Where will you escape? I'll bring you down with all your haughty insolence. Let every thought of working for yourself be utterly rejected, cast aside. Now that you've been sold to others, stop your whining, be of service. Very strong, these words. Yeah. So again, be careful. Yeah. Be sensitive to your kind of cultural, uh, religious baggage. Yeah? And know and recognize that Shantideva's audience didn't have the same kind of baggage that some of us have. So then this language works fine, yeah, without needing explanation. But here, may need some explanation and translation, okay? For if through being inattentive I do not deliver you to others, you will hand me over, it is certain, to the guards and janitors of hell.
Oh, all right.
Like, I'll betray you before you, treacherous, self-grasping, hand me over to the janitors and guards of hell. There is a sense of humor here, for sure. Like, I'm gonna outsmart you, you self-grasping that has been trying to outsmart everyone, but actually you're not serving me in any case. You're serving a different master. You masquerade yourself as if you're looking out for me, but in fact, you are destroying my true interests. So I'm going to expose and betray you before you sell me out. That's the kind of added what's going on here, the banter almost. Like I see your tricks now, and all this while you say, I do it out of love for you. But it's not.
Can I ask something?
Uh-huh.
So in 164, we're talking about that which shouldn't be named as
Lord Voldemort.
life with faults, but its accidental gifts I should not praise. Whatever the
Yes.
quality it has, I'll so contrive. Anyway, so it means, but then it goes on to about harnessing and applying the lash and making this
Yes.
thing work for you rather than for the non-self. I don't know what you want to talk about.
Yeah, work for
But-
you, yes. And now
And-
work for you is to work for others.
And what does that mean? Putting that energy, that drives.
Yeah, basically it's saying, right? Seemingly, seemingly, you have been looking out for me, but actually, no. Now I understand what you're actually doing. So I reject your skills.
So,
I'm going to put you in your place.
okay, so,
172. For this is how so many times you have betrayed me, you self-interest, and how long I have suffered. Right? So imagine almost like, you're a young king with an evil minister who tells you, I'm looking out for you. I'm doing this to preserve your kingdom for you. Now my memory is full of rancor. I will crush your selfish schemes.
It comes to my mind that the ego has a totally different sense of self.
Uh-huh.
It's trying to protect what it sees as you. And you have
Yes.
to understand that's not who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in the ballpark?
Yes. Yes. Good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In that sense, it is just as confused. So it's not that the ego in the Buddhist context is not the ego because it is evil. The ego is the ego because it's confused, but then it is so sure of its own confusion.
Well, they got
So,
decades of living with it.
Yeah.
so in other words, you're saying that you're just gonna be so self-evident
Yes.
when you are up to your energy
Mm-hmm.
that it will collapse on itself and be useless for
Yes.
its, okay. By being visible, it destroys
Yes.
itself.
Yeah. Now exposed. Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing teaching today, Dr. Lye.
Yeah.
Really, really been impactful.
Yeah. Shantideva is always chock full of, things that we need to hear.
So the people he was talking to at that time, you said they don't have they don't have the notion of delaying their enlightenment. Is that because they didn't have the notion of becoming enlightened in one lifetime?
No,
That-
no, no. What do you
No.
mean? Wait, I think
I
maybe
mean,
I don't understand your question, and maybe your question suggests you didn't understand
I
what I
don't
was saying.
understand.
Yeah.
No, because I thought there was this idea for bodhisattvas that they would, like, okay, you have an arhat who's a non-returner,
Uh-huh.
and then but you have bodhisattvas who expect to return a million times until they become Buddhas, right? I mean, there's like, and
No.
then, no, okay.
Yeah,
So,
that is the wrong view as I was referring to, which has
okay,
entered our mind stream,
okay,
but
so,
nowhere in the Indo-Tibetan Buddhist tradition. It's certain things that developed in the Zen context.
okay,
Yeah, that has kind of it has its own logic. I'm not saying it's wrong, but that's not how Shantideva understands enlightenment. That's also now not how the Indo-Tibetan Buddhism tradition. There's no reason to come back a million times. It's become Buddha in one lifetime if you can, as soon as possible.
right, okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes. Very deep, this misconception in the context of, right? You cannot apply but
yeah.
this approach to practice and makes it with a different understanding of what a Buddhist bodhisattva is.
Well, I'm embarrassed because I'm teaching a class right now about Buddhism, and that's what I'll have to go back and correct them and say, no, bodhisattvas also don't return, they become Buddhas. They,
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know where that came from, I mean, really don't, I
Oh,
mean,
I know where it comes from because there is this idea, of so there is one, there is like one bodhisattva who says, until the hells are not completely emptied, I
yeah,
will not achieve Buddhahood.
yeah,
Yes, but but that's a statement that needs to be further interpreted, not to be taken literally. So we have devices like this. That statement uh, has a hidden meaning. That statement has no hidden meaning. So when the Buddha says, I need to go to the store to pick up some ice cream, that's a statement with no hidden meaning.
yeah.
Just wanting to get some ice cream.
Okay, so can I ask you, I mean, because people ask me this,
Yes.
are there Buddhas all around us in this world right now? People who have, become Buddhas in this life, and they're just not wearing a badge or a t-shirt or a special uniform, they're just,
Buddhas exist, Buddhas manifest in a variety of forms, sentient and non-sentient, around us. Those are all the Nirmanakayas.
so they could be trees, or,
They could be trees, they could even be a bridge.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
okay.
Yeah, but you see, it's not the idea of like, you know, it means like, the power of their mind, their state of existence is they manifest what is necessary.
Where it's necessary. Yeah,
Okay, so,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
um, I've always kind of thought there was a line between, realizing the nature of mind and Buddhahood.
Oh, yes,
You
of
know,
course,
being a
especially in
Buddha.
the Mahamudra system.
And those that actually have come to realize the nature of mind can voluntarily come back, reincarnate for the benefit of others. That's why they would do that, in a
No, 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 no,
bodhisattva.
no, 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 no.
Choose to be
No, 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 no.
reborn.
Those who have realized the nature of mind, for example, but not yet achieved the state of Buddha, they need to shape their future. But this is not talking about voluntarily coming back. All of us have no choice.
Right.
And until a bodhisattva is a Buddha, they also have no choice because the karmic force is forcing to return. And but by realizing nature of mind or by achieving first bodhisattva bhumi, different systems have different kind of requirement. In other words, once you get the ability to shape your next life, then of course, as long as your karmic force is still keeping you coming back, right, the difference between a highly evolved being and the rest of us is we don't have a choice. Yeah, that is very different from saying, I could be a Buddha, but guess what? I'm not going to be a Buddha because I need to busy myself around with my neighbors.
Well, there was loose talk like that.
Yeah, there's loose talk like that. Especially after a few drinks.
Yeah.
It comes to mind that this book needs a subtitle,
Oh, okay.
The Way of the Bodhisattva, A Path to Enlightenment.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're saying, right? That's what the whole thing's about.
Yeah,
This book.
yeah. It's not a path to stick around, Because once you're Buddha, you come back, but in a completely different way. It's called the inexhaustible wheel of the awakened body, speech, and mind. Right now, it's the inexhaustible wheel of confusion. And then come back again and again, dragged around. Some of us develop some capacity not to be dragged around so ridiculously. Some of us have developed that ability. Good. So shape your next life. But then still, overall, we are under the inexhaustible wheel of confusion. And so lifetime after lifetime, we wander with varying degrees of confusion. But once Buddhahood is achieved, the inexhaustible wheel is still an inexhaustible wheel, except that now it has become the inexhaustible wheel of the awakened body, speech, and mind manifestations. the bridge, the flotation device that saves someone from drowning. The person who sacrificed himself to rescue others. All those are the inexhaustible wheel of the enlightened, awakened body, speech, and mind manifesting in the world.
And also like brilliant insight that strikes somebody right at the right moment when it's needed, like that. Yeah,
Yeah, the blessing of Buddha's minds,
bless their minds, yeah.
A sign that we see, a word we hear,
Right,
Yeah, a meme that turns up on Facebook now.
Oh, God.
Yeah, why wouldn't Buddha's, manifest there? Of course.
yeah. No.
Yeah.
All right.
So you're suggesting one becomes the wheel itself when one becomes a Buddha?
Now the wheel is the wheel already. But yes, you could say that, but these are poetic expressions, so not to be taken that literally, but these are poetic expressions. We are quite familiar with the wheel of suffering, right? The wheel of becoming, the wheel of life. And then we think at enlightenment, the wheel stops. Actually, it's not that the wheel stops. Then, from a Mahayana perspective, we say, well, that would be nihilism. It's the nature of that wheel changes. Now it's the wheel of confusion, the wheel of suffering, the wheel of becoming, the wheel of what's called the wheel of life. But the wheel of the inexhaustible awakened Buddha is the wheel that benefits.
So is that like a general force, or
A general force. It's something.
is it associated with a particular Buddha becoming enlightened and then coming back as the wheel?
All of us, we become the inexhaustible wheel of enlightened body, speech, and mind. Every single one of us. Right now, every single one of us is the inexhaustible wheel of confusion.
Feels like it, sure feels like it. Dr. Lye, can I ask you about 2026? Is it too early to do that, or are your plans forming? Do you have any idea when you might come?
Oh, for a moment, I thought you were asking me to prophesy.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about 2026? Let's see. Invest in this, but
Well, in a sense,
Please,
yeah.
go ahead.
Wasn't an either or.
No.
wrong tradition. It was at the revival this morning, further up the road. 2026. Yeah, I don't know. We can talk about that when.
Okay,
I know, like starting January to about starting January to end of March, I'll be gone. So the first quarter is out of the question. I'm out of the country.
well, technically we have, or theoretically, we have an Namtupten in May, early May.
We do.
The rest of the year is still a blank slate, so,
Sure.
yeah, so.
Yeah, so I think we end here today.
Okay,
I mean, you all at the center can still hang out a little bit and catch up and socialize before the next group comes in. So we will see you again. I think next Sunday I should be able to make it. Yeah.
wonderful, thank you. Thank you very
Thank you, Dr. Lye. This
Yeah.
was really, really
We'll aim for
beneficial.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ta-ta. Hello, all the new people. It's good to see you all or hear you all. Bye-bye.
Bye. So, Nick and I will not be here next week, but, the week after we will. But we have our family here. So, yeah, so you'll have,
2 weeks in a row, that's nice.
I know, huh?
Oh, wow, oh, yeah, that's nice.
I'm so glad he told me that, because I have a class Wednesday night and I can correct
What a nice
myself.
discussion.
Yeah.
It's like,
I was wrong about the.
You know,
website.
I've heard, people that are Dharma teachers
Yeah.
say that very thing.
Yeah.
the-
Yeah.
Defining
It's out there.
bodhisattva, so
I've
it's
heard.
out there in the world.
It's out there, I know.
Yeah.
I didn't make it up. It'll be interesting to see what the book says when we get to that part, what it says. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but it logically, and of course, none of this is logical, but it doesn't make any sense. You can do more by becoming
Yeah.
enlightened fully,
Right.
than
Why
to
would you not
hang
do
around
that?
when you're
That's
just
right.
short of it.
That's
Well,
right.
I always thought, I mean, that whole, I've actually kind of chewed on that myth, I guess. I'm glad to say it's a myth, because
Yeah,
the fact is that you get reborn and you have to learn it all over again.
I
You may
know.
have a little bit of a head start, but you gotta go through birth, childhood,
Yeah,
education, and then the vicissitudes of your surroundings and inhabitants, disease and all those things.
yeah.
And then to become realized again, or bodhisattva-ized again, to do it all over, and it's just like,
Yeah,
it seems very inefficient.
it does seem like there's some problems with that.
That you just can't help, but you're gonna get swept back into the wheel again.
Yeah, or that you wouldn't, along the path and, of the Bardo, you wouldn't just choose a Pure Land or something.
Right.
Well, I remember hearing this, when I took the Bodhisattva vow the first time, which was, I don't know, 35 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I'm dissuaded.
yeah,
This is one of those everything you know is wrong.
That's right.
Dharma teachings.
Yeah.
And it'll take a while to kind of let this soak in.
well, I'm sure we can talk to him again about it.
Any
I don't
thoughts
know
out
if the
there?
rest of
Well,
these
it
speak.
just seems
or
more
Will
elegant
or Diane,
of a philosophical
comments are.
concept that you would not, just like you were saying, just hang out with my neighbors.
Right.
about that.
Any thoughts out there?
What's the question, Meg?
Just, do you have anything to share after this class, after his talk?
Oh, this was one of the most amazing of all time. I mean, this was incredible for me. The idea that the bodhisattva comes back, but he doesn't come back embodied. I don't think that was explicitly stated, but that's what I understood. Once you become enlightened, you don't come back embodied. You become part of the system itself. He was kind of a little bit not excited about that concept, but he said, yeah, in a way that could work. You can go back and listen to the tape. But yeah, that's the way I interpreted it. And I never understood that. When you're in Bodhisattva, you're coming back embodied. Once you become a Buddha, you're not coming back embodied anymore. That doesn't mean you're not part of the system. You're just not embodied anymore. You're that wonderful stuff that tends to happen sometimes, the serendipity, the things just work out in an amazing way. You're part of you're kind of like part of the universe itself, or the cosmic wheel he talks about. And I ask him that directly, you're part of that cosmic wheel. Well, in a way, you could think about it like that. So I don't know. I mean, it was really a revelation for me to put that together.
Yeah,
What's the difference in a bodhisattva and a Buddha?
good question.
He
Yeah,
did say there
Because
was
the
a
bodhisattva
distinction.
has wisdom.
But it's not a Buddha. He's not a Buddha.
What's the difference? That's
They're
what I'm
still
asking.
caught in confusion.
Completely and utterly severed all the karmic ties that keep you bound to the wheel of
But the
samsara.
bodhisattva chooses to stay here.
No,
In the wheel.
One of the things
Bodhisattva.
we should do is be humble about these high-level philosophical
I know,
issues.
you have to try to pin them
This
down.
reminds me of reading, books about physics,
Yeah,
Yeah,
without knowing any of the math,
Right,
and,
you don't know any of the structure underlying, it's just like this.
yeah, they're good
words.
questions to ask, but I mean.
What's the answer?
I'll understand.
And why does it
when I'm-
matter to us,
When I'm a Buddha, I'll understand it.
Yeah, I think
When I have
it's
a
just
PhD
fair
in
to say
physics,
that
I'll understand.
Yeah.
bodhisattvas are still confused, they still have some measure of confusion, and Buddhists don't,
Huh.
period,
I think
it's
Diane
like,
wanted to say something.
yeah, Diane?
Oh,
But you
Diane.
have to
Did
turn
you,
your microphone
did you
on.
unmute yourself to talk to us, Diane?
Yeah, yes, but I'm way back on just dealing with kleshas. I'm back to the beginning and that little mind trick he was talking about, which I'm going to think about for a couple of days because that's complicated. To put yourself into somebody else's position and then have all of these feelings towards it. But anyway, what I wanted to share with you is I think that his question when he said, ask yourself, and maybe I'll frame it by, I used to be very fond with my clients of saying, Dr. Drews, and Jerry, you might have this too, Dr. Drew's comment of, well, how's that working for you? Old ways of coping and doing and being yourself, how's that working out? Well, I think Dr. Lye just gave us how we can work. I know he gave it to me and to work for. How is all this self-concern? Who benefits from that? If you really, who benefits? Look at it. If you're insecure, or if you're jealous, or if you're envious, what's that really doing? It's destructive on both parts, on yours and everyone else's. So I like those little phrases that kind of you can go to, and I'm going to adopt that. I think that was just great. Who benefits from this? Anyway, that's what I wanted to share.
In his transcript, he references a poem by Thich Nhat Hanh. He doesn't call it that, he calls it so it's confusing. He gets the spelling wrong on the name. But it's called Please Call Me by My Real Names.
Yeah, yes.
That fits names, yeah. It fits so well with this exchange thing we're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
Right. So it really, I mean, I think I think it's really worth spending some time on. And that's kind of back, I'm like way low back, not dealing with Bodhisattva or Buddha. But it's a good beginning.
I was struck by, it's so easy to get pulled into talking about concepts in this. And I was impressed when he said it's the stability, the stableness of the mind that's there. And if we've got that, it's going to be daily shining a light on where we're stepping on the path. And if we don't have that, all the good concepts won't get much traction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. That was the other one.
I was kind of thinking that the practice, plus this thing of viewing everything in higher, lower, me, whatever, selfishness, is so instantaneous
Yes.
that we're thinking of it right now as like a conceptual framing and thinkiness, but it's more like, I think that you orient yourself and it comes up like a smell maybe, Oh, yeah, and then you're able to your awareness is able to kind of dissolve it because it's suddenly like, whew, look at that, It's like letting out gas or something, and it just goes. And it becomes that instantaneous and that instinctual to like back away from that self-aggrandizement, of your position, whether it's low or high. But because I'm not going to think my way out of this,
But that was a lovely metaphor of the diamond.
Yeah.
So if we we keep that in place, we say, yeah, I need cutting, polishing, but I'm worthy. I've got basic
Yeah.
worth at some level.
You just got dirt, dust on you.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
very Vajrayana picture.
Yeah,
In fact,
I
it's
really
called the
like
diamond
that.
vehicle, yeah.
All right, well, our time's up. Vajra buddies.
Thank
See
you,
next week,
everybody.
Maybe, some of you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Will. Nice seeing you.
yes.
Have
good to
fun
see
with
Thank
your
you,
kids.
guys. Yeah, you too. Thanks for the invitation to this one, Cheryl. That was fantastic.
I'm glad you liked it.
I'm looking at that. It's
Bye.
like
You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Drawing and your background.
Oh, which one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I've actually got two of them. There's one on the other side too.
Cool.
First I thought it was a heart with antlers, which is like also.
Yeah, it's like a metal deer. I wasn't going to get a real one, so
Metal's good. Bye,
you
guys.
guys take care. Thank you.
Thank you.